Bye.
All right. So we are now recording, and what I would like to do is ask that people mute themselves, or I will do that. So people should be muted. And all right. Bill is unmuted. And with that, I'd like to start part 3 of our awakening to our true selves, the non-dual underpinning to our human existence that opens into true spiritual experience. Bill, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's a mouthful in terms of the title of today's presentation. And I'll be talking about duality and non-duality. Some of you may have some familiarity and experience with these concepts. For me, this is really getting at the heart of what meditation and spirituality is about. If you've taken my classes or read my columns, every once in a while there's a quote that pops up that comes from Alan Watts in answer to the great Zen question, but it is really the great spiritual question. Who are we in relationship to creation, into the sense of creator, in the sense of God? What is soul? What is this entire realm of spirituality that kind of just goes as this idea, spirituality, and connected with religion and somehow, and with our churches and all that. Yet it goes much deeper. And the quote that I wanted to share to begin with, in answer to that question, who are we, from Alan Watts, he answers that. And this echoes many, many, many Zen masters and mystical traditions. Who we are is the universe peering into itself from billions of points of view. Now, if you can even just sort of create some visual imagery of that, of a sense of a universe, and for our purposes, what we're really going to be exploring is how this God archetype that gets expressed, as Joseph Campbell might say, the God with 1,000 faces, how every culture throughout human history, there is no culture that has ever been that does not have this impulse, this intuition, this instinct to creation, to intelligent creation. And then giving some face, some name to what this instinct, this intuition is about a unity. That's what non-duality is. A unity that is the universe that gives rise to the manifold manifestations within the universe, including human beings. And with this then, again, those who have taken my classes know I often will talk about how exciting it is to be alive today at a time when modern Western science, that for thousands of years really was dividing humanity away from, separating humanity away from its origin and its source, is now discovering at the very underpinning of all matter, there is consciousness. And that this consciousness essentially pervades the universe. We'll talk more about that next week as well. But to have some sense of a universe, a consciousness, a universal, and if you wish to use the name God or even your own imagery of God, but to have a sense that there is this energy of God consciousness, of non-dual consciousness, of universal consciousness that then individuates into the world of form through sentient life forms. And for our purposes, very particularly, and at the very complex level, through human beings. So we have this sense of humanity in a relationship. Humanity is something separate, duality, in relationship with non-duality, the origin, the home of everything. And meditation plays a very particular role in this. Some of you may have heard, it noted that in answer to another question, like what is meditation and what is prayer and what differentiates meditation and prayer? And we come from religious traditions, most of us, I would assume, that relates to the infinite through prayer. And what is prayer? Now, again, prayer is many things, and there are many people who practice prayer within the context of the definition I'm giving in a way that's very similar to meditation, but it can be understood. Prayer is a talking to God, and meditation is a listening for the answer. So, what is meditation? Within this language of duality and non-duality, I want to say meditation is non-duality, which is the energy of consciousness that is individuating through us, this awareness that is examining the duality of human mind. Again, very important to realize, human mind does not experience as consciousness. Rather, it becomes a vehicle through which consciousness operates. And so meditation is this energy of consciousness, non-duality, examining the duality of mind, the thought process, and the perception process of human mind, and gaining increasing subtlety in skill and wisdom in understanding this relationship of an individual human being caught in the experience of separateness, yearning for connection. This is the spiritual impulse. And discovering through meditation and mindfulness the deliberate application of awareness, again, the individuated energy of consciousness, to awaken consciousness and to realize consciousness as pervading all of existence and enter into relationship with it. So with that, let me lead you through a meditation right now to kind of get us in focus for all of this. So as I often do, I say, realize that who you are, as within the Buddhist tradition, it is said Buddha resides within all of us. Within the Christian tradition, it says Christ lives within all of us. Within the Jewish tradition, it says God lives within all of us. So with that realization of Buddha, Christ, God dwelling within us, allow that sense of your own sacredness in this moment to settle deeply into the moment, realizing this sacred gift of consciousness that is our awareness, that focuses into this moment, this physical and consciousness energy moment, deliberately using as an anchor into this moment awareness of the sensation of our own breathing. This body breathing. Realize we are not breathing this body. It is not an act of volition. It is an act of creation. This body is breathed by life, again, if you will, by God, by infinite source, as all of life is breathed and connected in breath. Experience this miracle. Give particular attention to the exhalation. A release of tensions of the body and the mind. This is important. For duality, the sense of separateness is held together through contraction of form, contraction of energy. With the exhalation, release that contraction. And linger momentarily at the limit of the exhalation. In Zen terms, we would say that you are lingering in emptiness. And the inhalation and the returning into form naturally happens. Feel that dynamic of releasing attachment, clinging to form with the exhalation. And with the inhalation, a returning to form, but perhaps a rebirth, a new vision, new insight into what it is to be a human being alive. Consciousness, awareness, examining, experiencing a body and a mind. The activity of the mind does not cease, yet it most likely has quieted. It has moved from the forefront of awareness, receding into background. Allow a dawning awareness of this energy of awareness that is like a light that shines upon whatever it is focused upon breathing, focused upon sensations of the body, focused on activity of the mind. And so realize if you can be aware of your thoughts, then you must not be the thoughts, but rather the awareness of the thought. And same with the body. If you can be aware of the sensations, you must not be the sensations that are the body. You must be the awareness of these sensations. Sit for a moment, realizing this awareness as who you are. Feel the lightness of being. And now, as Walz suggested, that who we are is the universe peering into itself, realize then that who we are, this body and mind, must be, in a sense, a biological technology, if you will, evolved by the universe for this very experience to happen. And if the universe can peer into itself, if non-duality can peer into duality, then duality must also be able to turn the eye of awareness and look into the universe and to realize its source and home and union with the infinite. Take a deep breath and give a long exhalation. I apologize for the brevity of our meditation. We only have a very short time. We're zooming through a very, very, very deep and rich topic. Yes, feel the incredible lightness of being. So, what is spirituality? Again, we have so many ideas about what spirituality is. Spirituality is no idea. It is a direct experience. It is that direct experience of who we are as physical beings, as forms in the universe, realizing that our source is that which is not form. And again, so exciting to be alive in a time when science is realizing, and many scientists are really beginning to speculate, this underlying unity, this quantum field, perhaps even what we know as dark energy and dark matter, actually that makes up the majority, the vast majority of what is the universe, quite possibly is consciousness energy again. And so here we are having this sense of, we live within a tradition that says we as humans were made in God's image, and what we have done as dualistic, as physical, as egoistic beings is turned and put our own face upon God. How does everything change when what we're really talking about is not the physical appearance, but this energy of consciousness itself? I urge all of you at some point to Google cosmic web, image of cosmic web or of dark matter. And what will appear on your screen is this amazing web of interconnected fibers, like a net, that is amazingly similar, that if you're also to Google microscopic imagery of human neural net, the two could almost be overlaid upon each other. Humans made in God's image, not a face, consciousness. What is spirituality? We all know, we've all experienced what we could call spiritual moments, and they're always moments of connection. We go through our lives and we're experiencing our separateness. And within that separateness, this is where Buddhism comes in, and it talks about there's something, basically a problem with the human experience. This is the very first teaching of Buddhism. They'd call it the teaching about suffering. Why human beings have this very unique form, this subjective, abstract sense of suffering, which another way of translating that is that there is a sense of the unsatisfactoriness of our existence because we're caught up in this experience of separateness. Sometimes that's also called, again, within a Western tradition, the God-shaped hole. But there seems to be a hole within us. Something is missing. And that we long, because of this experience of our separateness and the insecurity that comes with that sense of separateness, the lack of fullness, completeness that comes with that sense of separateness. And yet, through moments of deep presence and moments of love, where our sense of separateness falls away into a sense of connection, that sense of insufficiency dissolves. Very importantly, and Buddhism wants to point this particular factor out, what really also disappears is this overwhelming sense of our separate self. The focus of our awareness leaves being focused upon ourselves into this moment of unity with a powerful, powerful moment. Again, as I talk, it can happen on a mountaintop, or it can happen in a very powerful moment of communication and love with another human being or a sentient life. This sense of connection. So we want to examine spirituality as the phenomenon of this sense of connection and what connects. And this is what I want to say is this energy of consciousness. To realize that when we come out of projecting this idea of who we are as a separate self, as a separate person, and everything and everyone around us as separate from us, when that for a moment becomes suspended in wonder, in awe, in love, it's almost as if a filter is lifted. And if we go deep into this enough, and if we become sufficiently proficient in this exploration of this spiritual dimension, again, my guess is that you've experienced it sometimes, but increasingly, you can begin to experience that there is this underlying connectivity. There's almost a light, almost a shimmering light to existence itself. And so where we have gone with this is from what most of us are familiar with of our cultural, social traditions of religion, where we are caught in that sense of separateness, petitioning to an idea of the universe as creation, as creator, of God, into an immediate, personal, mystical experience that God is happening, that the universe is happening through us and all of life. And that this consciousness energy underpins it all. So what is this consciousness energy? Again, how do we get a sense of it? Right here, right now, do you have a sense of what is looking at this screen? Is it your eyes that are looking at this screen? Is it your brain that is looking at this screen and having some sense of comprehension, is having some sense of connection with what is happening? Or is there something deeper and prior to these eyes, this body, these senses, and even the mind that is processing the signals that are coming from the eyes? To realize again, who we are is awareness. As I've often said, probably most of you, given that you're attracted to an event like this, you know, have at least some awareness of who Eckhart Tolle is. And as I've shared with you before, Eckhart Tolle answers that same question, who are we? By saying we are the moment arising in awareness. So again, give consideration, give the sense that who you are is this moment experienced in consciousness. And that as you enter deeply into that experience, when you profoundly enter into the moment with presence as awareness, that sense of separateness, that disconnection begins to leave us, and rather a sense of connection begins to happen. And this consciousness energy can be directed, this awareness energy can be directed into the examination of what happens within the field of the human mind. It can be directed into connection with other persons, with other life forms. It can be connected into life itself, and it can be connected into the infinite. This, to me, is the true spiritual journey. This is the true spiritual experience. That who we are fields of consciousness energy, fields of energy within fields of energy. Here, give another consideration here. Here, as we sit, our hearts are beating, our lungs are breathing, our stomach may still be digesting our lunch. You know, our pancreas is doing what our pancreas is doing, and our liver is doing what our liver is doing. And even beneath that, then there's this entire cellular structure that is doing in perfect harmony what it needs to be doing for all these organs to be doing. And then there is, beneath the cellular structure, there is a molecular structure doing what the molecular structure needs to be doing, so that the cellular structure is doing what it is doing, so that the organic level can be doing what it needs to be doing, so we as human beings sitting here can be doing what we're doing. And beneath that, there is an atomic structure, and there is a subatomic structure. And now we're even understanding that there is a quantum field. Again, fields within fields within fields. And then beyond us, to realize a perfect balance, here we are within an ecology on a planet that circles a star. There's one of billions of stars within a galaxy, which is one of billions of galaxies within the universe, and speculation, quite possibly one of billions of universes within multiverses. Where does it all begin? Here I step out of any kind of scientific statement whatsoever to say something that is purely from the intuitive, the poetic level. And for me, it is this big bang, or the bang before the bang, or the bang before the bang before the bang, whatever. These are thoughts in the mind of God, creating universes, creating who we are, creating the mystery of life. And when we enter into and we practice meditation and mindfulness, the directing of awareness into the discovery of the answer of who we are, all of this begins to reveal itself. This terrible sense of separateness and aloneness in the universe. That God-shaped hole, that existential alienation that manifests as epidemics of neurosis and psychopathy within our societies. We begin to see a way out of all of that. And this is the spiritual journey. I want to share with you, again, something that I have shared with classes before and in my writing, something that comes from Albert Einstein. So here, the preeminent scientist of the 20th century, and again, kind of his answer to who are we? And he says a human being is part of a whole, an entirety, a singularity, called by us the universe. A part limited in time and space. Again, here we are. It's like we are the intersection of time and space manifesting a human being. We experience ourselves, our thoughts and our feelings as something separated from the rest. A kind of optical delusion of consciousness. Again, have this sense. You're saying, here is consciousness, and within consciousness, there is this kind of delusional experience of separateness. This is Albert Einstein saying this. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, he says, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest us. And our task, our spiritual task, our human task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circles of compassion. What is compassion? That energy that connects us, this consciousness energy that identifies as kin all that lives. To expand our circle of compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. This is the spiritual journey. Meditation, the training, the sensitizing of awareness that we have by our culture, our dualistic culture that just basically says, oh yeah, we're just, yeah, the eyes are seeing and the brain is recording and somehow we're generating consciousness and I'm here and you're there and that rock and that tree is over there and it's all here just for use and consumption and that, and leaves our lives hollow and leaves human society in a complete existential and evolutionary crisis. There is a way out of this. And that's what we're going to discuss next week. And it is this bringing of spirituality back into human society, the expansion of compassion to embrace the whole of existence. For if we do not do that, if we do not reconnect that which have been disconnected, our personal lives and our collective human lives will never fulfill themselves. So that's all the time we have in this Zoom meeting. So if there's anything anyone would like to ask before our time runs out, I'll turn it back over to Sally.
Okay, great. I've just unmuted everybody. If there's anybody that is not unmuted, you can unmute yourself. And I do have a question here from Pat.
I see it. Let me address it from Pat. When the body dies, what do you suppose happens to it? Just disappeared. But what happens after we die? Well, one of my answers to that is we're concerned with what happens after our body dies. How many people are concerned about what we were before we were born?
She says, what happens to
because it has to be the same. And the way that I can give you a sense of this, and it is not mine alone, is that we are currents in the ocean. If you can understand the universe as this great ocean of energy, that we are individual currents within that energy, and that current will rise and it will have an existence like a wave on the ocean, and it will rise and it will crest and it will dissipate and it will resume into the ocean. And that is what I believe is our journey, that is an eternal journey. Wish I had more time to talk about what that means.
I think we're going to get cut off.
We're going to get cut off. I hope that's a good way to end what we're doing here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bill. This has been wonderful. I look forward to next week.
Yes, next week, again, the necessity of reintegrating spirituality into human society. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Bill. Hi, Judy.
Bye-bye.
I see you.
Thank you.
You look good.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Nice haircut, Judy.
Thanks for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Love you all.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.